Hey everybody, it's me, Jones, back with a new video. This is an update with some corrections on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. I did a video a few days ago talking about what happened. So the first thing that I want to correct was the first guy he shot. It turns out the first guy who was killed. Turns out Kyle did shoot him. He shot him 4 times. I thought the guy in the black shirt if you guys seen the video, who took off his shirt and tried to compress the wound on his head, I thought he was the one that shot him. But it turns out, so the first gunshot was someone had fired in the air as Rosenblum, the guy who was killed, I think that's his last name, was chasing Kyle into the car lot. And then all of a sudden, then you heard a "fuck you." What happened was Rosenblum was actually he was trying to take the rifle. He was lunging to take the rifle from Kyle, and Kyle fired. He fired once. He fired once in the ground, and he shot. I think he hit him 4 times. Got hit in the groin. The bullet wound on his head was a graze. I think he also got hit in his liver, and also his lungs. So he was out. He was out from those shots. Turns out the guy in the black shirt was Richie McKinnon. I think he's with the Daily Caller. He's a reporter, and there's a police report that documents everything that happened. And McKinnon actually says that Rosenblum had harassed Kyle twice, trying to take his gun from him, because there was an early video of a dumpster fire. I think you noticed that when Kyle was being interviewed, there was a video where he runs off camera. I think what seemed to happen was these rioters had lit a trash can on fire. They lit a dumpster on fire and was wheeling it towards a police roadblock. Kyle ran up with a fire extinguisher, because there's another clip. Also, you can check out Donut Operator's channel. He has a breakdown on what happened as well. There's a clip of him running with a fire extinguisher. You can tell it's him because of the green shirt, the orange med pack. I think he must have put the rifle down. And I'm gonna get on the topic of the rifle in a second. He went over and put the fire out in the trash, put the fire out inside the dumpster. He just went over and sprayed it. The people who were pushing it got upset, and that's what drew the attention of them towards the group that was over by the gas station, which I believe Kyle was over there. And one of the people, and they said in another video around with the scene at the gas station, was Rosenblum. In fact, all 3 people that Kyle shot, you can see in that short clip. All 3 of those men, the guy with the skateboard and the guy who feigned the surrender, he was in that same clip. But you can clearly see Rosenblum was yelling, "Shoot me, nigga! Shoot me, nigga!" He was antagonizing the armed individuals, which shows that he must have had something wrong with him, already. And then later find out that he was a convicted pedo. He was starting trouble early on in the whole situation. Kyle, it turns out, worked in that area. He worked in Kenosha. He was a lifeguard, and then it was specified that he said he was he's been interviewed by McGinnis. He said he was a medic because he was out there offering service to anyone who may have been hurt. Even people he more likely disagreed with. He was going to go out there and help them. He was out there. There's another photo of him cleaning graffiti. So he was already in that town. He was already in that part of town. He was working there. So for people who keep saying that, why was he there to begin with? He's 17. Well, he worked there. I believe his parents live in Antioch, Illinois. But you can look up a lot of information online. As a matter of fact, I'm going to include a link. I'm going to include a link that gives a background to what Kyle was into Kyle. The rifle actually belonged to another friend of his. So he didn't bring a rifle across state lines. The rifle was in Wisconsin. He just came into Wisconsin, which he only traveled like 30 minutes from Antioch into Kenosha. So that's cleared up. As he was, you also see as he was running, it has the clip of him running. When he made the phone call, he didn't actually call 911. I believe he called a friend of his, What relation of that friend? You don't know. I don't know if that's the friend that gave him the rifle, but we do know it was said in the police report that he did call a friend, let him know that I just killed somebody, and then it goes off. Then he runs off. Runs out of frame. As he's running towards the police roadblock, he was actually trying to turn himself in. As he started running, that's when people started saying, "No, he killed. No, he shot somebody." That's the reason why he started running, because he could have given aid. He could have tried to help the guy who he just shot, but a mob was coming towards him, and he wasn't looking for a fight, so he took off. Mind you, this kid only he had. I want to call him a kid because the kid he's just a little baby face, but he's a young man. He like I said, he ran through a gauntlet, come out on top, and so he started running. It seemed only had one magazine in the rifle. As he's running down the street and people are starting to chase him, he had this white hat on. It gets knocked off his head by someone taking a swipe at him. As he's running, he trips and falls. One guy, who, as he's trying to get up, a guy jumps out of the air, kicks him in the head, and he shoots his rifle twice. The second shot almost hits the guy that kicked him, but that guy took off. So he was, so he needs to pray and be thankful that he did not get ventilated by Rittenhouse. The second guy who ends up shooting runs over, hits him in the head with a skateboard. Turns out that guy has a history of domestic violence. He has a rap sheet. It says it includes strangulation and false imprisonment. And what's crazy is, there's this GoFundMe for him, but I guess by his girlfriend saying, what a good guy he is, and all these people in the skater community, they recognize him as a nice person. Well, it turns out your nice person was a domestic violence perpetrator. So there's that. He gets shot in the chest. He gets shot right in the heart when he tries to take the rifle out of Kyle's hand. But again, Kyle had a sling. He had a 1-point sling on, which turns out to work, in his benefit, and he shot him. Now the third guy who gets shot, the one who gets shot in the arm, Kurtz, is his last name. So he goes up and he has a phone. He has a phone in his left hand. And he has a Glock pistol in his right. Funny thing is, he's also a convicted felon. So I'm not gonna really say how he got the gun, but just to know that criminals get guns somehow. So that's that. But he had a gun on him. He faked surrender. Kyle had a malfunction in his rifle. He had to because you can hear him pull the charging handle and snap it back. And while he's doing that, Gage Kurtz goes in with his right hand to try to go up and execute him. And as soon as the muzzle comes close to Kyle's head, Kyle has the rifle leveled at his arm, takes one shot, blew his bicep open. Like I said, this kid, he's trained. He's trained very well. I think all the training that he's done in his life has saved his ass immensely in that split second. So it shows the importance of training, obviously. Kurtz drops his phone, but he still holds onto the gun. I guess he can't let it go because he lost the muscle movement. When he goes off, he's yelling medic, medic. There's a guy who did I think a Facebook. He did a live stream of everything that was going on, and it showed he went over and put a tourniquet on his arm, and you can hear him on camera saying, "Is it loaded?" He says, "Loaded, is loaded." I think the gun gets left behind because later on, there's another video where cops come by and they check the scene. Someone says, "Hey, officer, you need to check that gun because it's loaded." And the cop comes out, it clears it. It was a Glock 26, it's 9mm. I believe the 26 was like a subcompact. And there are plenty of photos out there where you can see he has it in his hand with the muzzle down on the ground because that's the only way he can hold his arm up, with his bicep being blown open. So Kyle makes his way. He turns around, and you also hear more shots. Kyle didn't. And the thing is, Kyle didn't shoot anymore. After he shot Kurtz in his arm, he didn't shoot anymore. So that meant that other people were shooting. Probably at him, probably at someone else, who knows? But there were other shots. You hear other shots going on in the background. But Kyle also, and you also see in that same after he shoots Kurtz, is one of the guy. He puts his hands up like this, and Kyle leaves him alone. So that shows that he had great discipline to keep himself from just shooting wildly at anybody who was around him. So he gets up, he's walking backwards, and he starts walking towards the barricade with his hands up. The rifles hang off to the side. The cops don't stop; they don't apprehend him because they're trying to get to whoever was shot down the road, which was the two men that Kyle just shot, the one who just killed, the one whose bicep he just blew open. The first guy who got shot, who got the bullet grazed in his head, Rosenblum. He gets some people. They get him inside a car and take him to a nearby hospital, but he didn't make it. So he shot and killed two people, wounded one, and he went over to try to turn himself in the police, but they weren't going to take him in at that point in time. It turns out they actually knew they knew he was there. He contacted the police to let them know that he was going to be guarding a business, in which it turns out the business owner even asked him to stay over and help guard his car lot business, because I think he had two other shops around, and he just wanted him to help protect this one car lot. It was a family-owned business. I think there's some speculation that whether Kyle was related to the owner, but I know that the only thing I know is it was a family-owned business, and Kyle was asked by the owner to protect it. So, like I said, I'm going to include a link to a news article explaining all this. But I think and on top of so they sent him home. They told him to go. They basically told him to go home. He went back to Antioch, and he turned himself in. They didn't have to hunt for him. He turned himself in. Man, this case is something. This is gonna be something massive, because because now he also has Lynnwood, who was the lawyer for Nicholas Salmon, and Salmon, when he got Salmon, and he helped Salmon win his defamation lawsuits against CNN, other news sources that have defamed him and other students because of the smirking incident. So Lynnwood is now on his team. GOA has also organized a team of lawyers to come to Kyle's defense. So GOA has his back. Lynnwood has his back. He's got a lot, and he has the support of the 2A community. Well, for the most part, he has support for the 2A community, because on Reddit there seems to be some back and forth as to whether he should have been there in the first place. Well, he worked there, and even if he didn't work there, he had every right to be there, because he's free to move. He wasn't doing anything illegal. People want to bring up there was a curfew at that time. Well, guess what? Cops weren't really enforcing the curfew. There was a curfew, but no one was really enforcing it, because cops weren't rounding up anybody who was out past a certain time. So I guess it's a matter of what time the curfew started. I think the incident started around 11 o'clock hour. I've had conversations on Facebook with people talking about what's going on, and they seem to be they're against. Many conversations I had were people who are against what he did. I obviously am in support for what he did. He's a brave young man. He's a brave patriot. And I think the reason why the DA in Kenosha is going so heavy-handed is because Kyle has shown the local government to be incompetent, to such a degree that a 17-year-old with a rifle was able to clear up that mess by himself. Taking out some scum. I guess you could say some scumbags along the way. Oh, and another thing. The guy, Kurtz, there's a picture of him on Facebook, and then also in the article there will be an article off to the side in the link that I'm including. He's on camera because he went to surgery. He has a tube coming out of his arm. He's gotten patched up. Apparently he claims that he regrets not emptying his magazine into the kid, because that's what because he said he hesitated, but he was going to go over there and shoot Kyle in the head. So had Kyle not had the training he's worked on as far as clearing a jam, he would have been dead, and no one really would have been hearing about this. They would have had this narrative that he was a white supremacist. Instead he was an American patriot. He's someone he was brave. He was well trained. He was optimistic. That's another thing I like about him. He was very optimistic about what he was doing, because he wanted to help people and protect private business. He wanted to do what was right. He would, I would say, for the most part, he embodied this. He embodied the things that are American. And the liberal media, well, the leftist media. Let me clear it up. The leftist media are just dragging him through the mud. But thankfully, he has a great legal team on his side, and he has the support of the gun community behind his back. Salty Cracker just did a video talking about there's some leftist lawyer group on Facebook that they post something on Twitter, asking the question as to if someone finds out where his cell location is, let them know. If they're, I gotta say, I think that's gonna be a very, very bad idea. To try to Epstein Kyle. They're gonna pull the pin out of a grenade if something like that happens. I don't. At that point, if they show they're willing to kill a 17-year-old who did nothing wrong, then I think it becomes open season on Antifa, BLM, all these leftists who are doing all this damage across the country. They just declare open season on them. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that he'll have great protection. I hope he'll be kept safe. Because I think with everything, with all the evidence that's included, all the evidence that's gathered, and especially accounting the fact that Lynnwood is doing this case pro bono, I think Kyle's gonna walk. If he faces any charge, it might be for the rifle he borrowed. Maybe for that. But I don't think he's gonna be facing any prison time, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. He did the right thing. He should not be. His life should not be destroyed because of it. He took an immense risk because the people whose job is to do it, they didn't want to do it. So it came down to a 17-year-old to do the job for them, and I commend him for that. In the link of this video, in the description box of this video, I'm going to include a link to a legal fund you can donate to called Fight Back. I think it's based out of Texas, and Lynnwood is part of that organization. If you want to donate to that, donate to help any which way you can with Kyle's case, you can. I'll make sure to donate some money myself. Whatever little bit I can send to him. But this is gonna be a major thing because now it comes into question about young Americans and firearm ownership. Are just even young Americans in handling firearms in general? Are we now at a time where we should have been teaching? We need to make it a standard thing of teaching young people how to use firearms. I think personally, I think that should have been the case a long time ago. That should have been part of a public school curriculum because firearms exist in our culture, and so young Americans should know how to use them and know how to use them effectively. As Kyle has demonstrated in the video, how his training has saved his life. So I want to give a big thanks to everyone out there who's staying on top of this case. Donut Operator, Tim Pool, Salty Cracker, all you guys. I want to give big thanks. Give thanks to people, new subscribers, people who contributed to the previous video I did. I hope I cleared up a lot of the misconceptions that I made in the last video and this one. If I haven't, please leave a comment in the comment section to clear up anything, any other mistakes I've made that I didn't catch. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, I would suggest right now, before you donate to me, donate to Kyle's legal fund. But if you want to donate to the channel, look for the Give Up That Cheese button in the homepage of YouTube and take you to PayPal. Give any amount you would like. Any gripes, complaints, send me a PM, I'll see what I do to address them. But this is a follow-up video, an update on Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Hope he goes well. Hope he comes out on top of this. But that's my video. I'm Edward Jones. You guys take care, be safe, and God bless.